families are always rising and falling in America, right? And I'd like to think that ours is on the rise. I've looked at my collecting journey as like this quest to reclaim what I view is rightfully ours. My mom grew up poor, my dad grew up poor, everyone grew up with nothing. Whenever we would be together in a major city like New York City, I felt such anxiety and such discomfort as we passed great stores, knowing that like we clearly couldn't afford them, like clearly. If someone could hate a building, it was certainly me then, because I felt like the store was talking down to my parents in a way. Like, fuck you. You're just making my dad feel small, you're making my dad feel lesser than. And then the other level was like, I fucking hated that I even felt that way. I mean, how horrible, what a rancid young man to be embarrassed of his family who have done so much and sacrificed so much. I mean, now there's a level of self-loathing. Not only embarrassment for who we are, but self-loathing that I even look at it that way. My dad was literally making like no money. He was working in farming, making no money. He was delivering pizza, and he was working at Brooks Brothers. And he was working at Brooks Brothers because he couldn't afford the suits to go to the pharma job. So he'd get a corporate discount. And when my dad, I'm gonna well up even talking about it, when my dad would be at Brooks Brothers, and someone that he knew from work would walk in, he would go hide in the dressing room, right? Like, and the idea for me that a man that has so much to be proud of ever had to hide in a dressing room, I was born with a tremendous amount of debt to them and to their sacrifice. To feel disenfranchised is what we're really talking about. Feel like I don't own a thing. I don't just mean on a material level. I mean, you have no voice. This isn't just about money. I mean, we all define success for ourselves. I know it may be hard to believe, but my definition of success is not only tied to money. I mean, it's actually far more about a quality of life and a demand for freedom. You know? It's a very silly cliche. This is Gordon Gekko, right? So my dad was in, college when the film came out. My dad was a poor kid hanging out with rich kids, just like I was decades later. And like, they had this watch, right? And they had a really nice brand new BMW. And my dad would see that throughout the week. And then on Friday would have to be sobered by the fact that he needed to go to work tonight. And he would clean offices, and he wouldn't just clean offices, but he would clean toilets. And I'm not sure which is worse, because the toilet is objectively gross in a very material way, and in a way humiliating. But then he would go into the offices of these, titans of industry, and the deference would just be so present. My dad remembers cleaning the office of Theodore Sorensen, who was a friend and speechwriter for President Kennedy. How has someone achieved this much? I don't understand. How do I go from cleaning his office to be the sort of person that owns a piece of the city? Owning something small is the answer to that. It's yours. And you've done something to be proud of. I like watches and wear watches and collect watches that my great-grandfather and grandfather and dad would have bought at the time new if they had the money. I've looked at my collecting journey as like this quest to reclaim what I view is rightfully ours. Growing up and becoming a man and taking accountability and building something is very hard work. To own a piece of the pie, to have a true seat at the table, to be someone who, when you speak, people listen. And then I suppose the next kind of evolution past that pain was like this curiosity. What was the difference between my family and theirs?
Miss Liberty holds high her welcoming torch, offering freedom and peace to the oppressed of other lands. The immigration gateway, Ellis Island, is nearby.
And I said, these guys are new here, relatively speaking. My family's been here since the 1860s. What the fuck? Where's our Yellowstone? What did we do wrong? What did those people get that we didn't? People that came to this country from real, destitute poverty, they know what it's like to have nothing. So what's the worst you're gonna do to me? Give me nothing again? I got through it. So when they were looking at risk and their risk tolerance, they're playing with house money, right? Everything is house money. So they were more, willing to take loans and to live maybe below their means to acquire and to build. That was their perspective. Whereas people like my family who came here in the middle of the 19th century, their vision of the American dream was kind of risk averse, and they all worked very hard, and maybe that was the worst part. Maybe the worst part was that I knew how hard they worked and they still had nothing generationally. Once I kind of detoxified my perspective on all this and became in a healthy way ambitious, I said, let me be a bearer of risk and take a fucking shot. What's the worst that could happen? Family's still gonna love me if I fail. Still gonna have enough money for a dish of pasta, a piece of fish, maybe a pack of cigarettes. I'm gonna be fine. It's all gonna be good. And I think that is kind of full circle, like what I've always admired about those immigrants that came here much later after my family, is that they knew, like, it's kind of all gonna be okay. Like, what's the worst that could happen? You're gonna fuck us worse than we've already been fucked? Very little of what I'm proud of has to do with financial achievement. This is a man's world. And that's my favorite. It is my favorite. I love to come home and everyone to just laugh about all of this. Because it's fucking stupid, it's silly. Look at these stupid material things. I mean, we can have a happy family with nothing. That's not to be mocked. That is hard earned every single day. That is conflict resolution, that is honesty, that is humility, and that balance is very rare. There's nothing wrong with money being important, but there are other things that are fucking just as important, more important. And now, I love that I'm bored by those stores. I love that. I love that whoever I'm with and they're like, oh, do you want to go into X? No, I want to go eat. I'd rather go have a really good glass of wine. You look at my watch collection, it's fairly one-dimensional, right? I almost exclusively wear gold watches. I think I do it because it's ridiculous. It's the guy that won the lottery and wears a top hat everywhere, right? Like, it's kind of cool that we're winning. And maybe I want my watch to be the one thing about my wardrobe that's like this kind of maybe a little obnoxious reminder that we are doing it and doing it well. And that this family is a success story. And that maybe someday, some little kid that's in college is cleaning my office, and we as a family represent his aspiration.